Hi, I'm Richard Brown, and I'm the Executive Director of Future Generation Studios. We're an independent film company based in Tacoma Park, Maryland. I was born on August 30th, 1987 in Silver Spring, Maryland. My father worked for IBM, my mother worked for IBM. I have an older sister. Look at us in that picture right there. Look at that handsome guy. When I was growing up, we had a lot of different VHS players. My dad had a big shelf of all these different movies, and it consisted of James Bond, Disney movies. I think he had a couple of John Wayne movies in there. And I remember when I was 6 years old seeing the movie Goldfinger. My parents always, when they watched it at night, said, "Hey, you can watch this Pink Panther cartoon, but when that's over, you all got to go to bed." And I can remember my sister put in the From Russia with Love movie one time. And my mom was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm just going to watch the Pink Panther." And she's like, "Okay, well, when it's done, you eject that movie." And of course, she didn't do that. And From Russia with Love came on. And then the gun scene where everybody's shooting up on Spectre Island. My mom came out there and said, "Get that off, get that off, get that off, get that off." Um, and then, that just sort of got my attention into movies. And then I saw Goldfinger, and seeing Sean Connery come up on that big screen, taking off his spy suit and revealing that awesome tux, I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy. And when I was 6 years old, we moved to Connecticut, and acting was really something I sort of thought about. And I enrolled in a fashion show when I was in first grade. Never happened, by the way. I just couldn't bring myself up to do it. But, I did a rendition of Goldilocks and the Three Bears where I played Judge Mesquite, I think his name was. And that was really my first journey into the acting world. I also joined the school band that year and took up saxophone lessons. And that's really when I got, started on the performance realm. And once I got into grammar school, I joined choir for a couple of years. That didn't work out. And, I stuck with band, kept doing it in high school. And, I thought about auditioning for the different plays, but I just never really got into acting beyond that point. So, filmmaking was something I really started looking into. And the senior year of high school, I took an intro to film course. And the first film I ever did was The Mission. It was a World War II movie about an army captain that gets sent into the Austrian forest to recover weapons scientists that had been kidnapped by the Nazis. And I had this really vast screenplay, and I was maybe a little ambitious. I mean, I was just a kid, so and then my mom looked over and she's like, this is awfully ambitious for a 17-year-old kid. You may want to kind of backtrack a bit. And so unfortunately, I had to take a lot of things out, and I think the final product speaks for itself. I mean, $50 budget, 17-year-old kid having some of his own World War II uniforms, and luckily having someone who owned a camera, Russell Steppen, who's a dear friend of mine to this day, was able to help me out, and we put together a heck of a film.
Lieutenant Yards, I presume.
Who wants to know?
Captain Harry Matthews, United States Army. Always a pleasure to meet an Allied soldier.
Always a pleasure to meet a Yank.
Well, I take it we're not here to discuss acquaintances.
Oh, we are. I have your clothes in the truck over there. Please follow me.
Very good, Lieutenant.
This is the first camera I ever bought. Still have it, and I'm sure it probably still works. Haven't really used it in a long time, but it's a Panasonic PVG S35, and this is back when HD was really in its infancy, and the cameras you can buy for $500, $600 today cost $5,000 back then. And this little palm quarter right here, it was a standard def format, shot 480p on a little mini DV tape, and I can remember being very excited when I got this, and I tried to shoot the sequel to my World War II movie. It just never worked out. Just could never get a completed story together. And so I took this to college. And, I just kind of thought of filmmaking as a hobby. I mean, really, my goal was to be a history teacher and to go to school in D.C. And so I applied to 3 different colleges, got accepted at George Mason and Catholic University. University of Maryland, unfortunately, I didn't get in, so I had a choice. And, I was captain of the track team senior year of high school, and doing Division I track was really something that I had thought about. But unfortunately, got injured my senior year, just could never really run quite the same as I wanted to, and so I chose Catholic University. And declared history going in. I took history courses, and what I started doing was I did a James Bond fan film. I got all the people in the dorm to help me out with it. It was a really fun project. Again, $50 budget, but I had people give in-kind contributions. I got somebody who donated a tux and who had some spy gadgets and all that, and thought it came out really well, and that was really a turning point in my career. A lot of people saw it and were like, you should do filmmaking. Be really good at it. And a lot of people saw the mission, and that was when my second semester of freshman year, I changed my major from history to film, and started taking film courses, and really, that's really when I jumped in with both feet, and things would just never be the same. One of my biggest inspirational professors in college was Dr. Rachel Story. I took 2 media classes with her, Media 401, Media 402, which were introductory video courses. And, I still had my little palm quarter, and I was going to use it in that class. And she saw a lot of my earlier work, really liked it, and she said, well, why don't you try some of these bigger cameras? Why don't you try using a boom mic instead of the camera mic? And I was like, well, I'm not really comfortable with that stuff. I'm just going to stick with what I have and what I'm comfortable with. And, I did that, and I just felt like my early works with that just really didn't hit their full stride. I just felt there was just something lacking. And, after I took Media 402, I took Media 403 with Dr. Thurkelson, who was also a great professor for me. And he really pushed me further to use new equipment, and I did. And I did a film my senior year called Drinking Problems, which was about these teenage kids that were trying to recall an episode what happened the night before. They had black eyes, blood patches all over their mouth, and they tried to unravel a mystery just based on a piece of gum. And did it with my buddies, and using this new equipment, that was when just something went off in my head. Really me thinking about, I need to get some new equipment. I mean, Greed is really a dream come true for me. I've loved the film noir genre ever since I saw films like Shadow of a Doubt and Touch of Evil in college. I actually took an Alfred Hitchcock film course my junior year, and really learned about all the nuances that Hitchcock did, how he did lighting schemes, and just seeing these films on screen, I was like, I want to make a film like that. And it always just was in the back of my mind. And then after Shadow Blood came out in June of 2014, I was really kind of thinking about my next project. And I had a comedy short that I wrote that I thought about. I also had a spy movie I was thinking about. But, I had some phone conversations with some acting colleagues of mine, and I sort of kind of developed this idea about Greed. And it took me about 5 months to write down. And I was watching some old Alfred Hitchcock Presents TV episodes. There was actually one in particular that I was watching called Lamb to the Slaughter. And it's about this housewife who is cooking this great dinner for her husband. And he comes in through the door. She gives him a big kiss. And she's so happy to see him. And then the husband turns around and says, I'm leaving you. I've fallen in love with another woman. We're very happy. I'm going to make sure you're well taken care of, but I'm leaving you. And the wife says, I won't let you go. I'll stop you. And he's like, yeah, with what? And she pulls a frozen leg of lamb out of the freezer and hits him over the head. And that just sort of got me thinking. And I was like, well, what if the husband wanted to kill the wife? I sort of twisted the plot around, and that's how Greed really came along. And then, watching Shadow of a Doubt again, and, Double Indemnity and all these other films, it kind of got me in a film noir state of mind. And, it's been a really cool process. We have a really great cast and crew attached to this. So we're going to start shooting in a month. And I am incredibly excited to get going. We have a crowdfunding campaign on GoFundMe right now. It's been running for about 8 months. And if you want to donate, you can look at the link right here. We'll have it going on for another couple of months. We also are going to have t-shirts on sale coming up soon. We also have autographed movie postcards for sale on eBay. And there's going to be other merchandising going on sale soon. I would say my biggest inspiration for being a filmmaker is actually two people, Steven Spielberg and Alfred Hitchcock. They had a way of communicating their vision through a lens and just writing up a scene that would captivate you. Like Alfred Hitchcock did with the shower scene in Psycho. He shot that in such a manner, and he lit and focused that in such a manner that it just scared the living hell out of you. And something like that really stuck with me on how to write suspense correctly. And with Steven Spielberg, he took some of Hitchcock's ideals and took them to another level, like in Jaws, with the vertigo shot and with a lot of the scenes underwater where the shark attacks, and also in E.T. with those scenes, and even with Indiana Jones, he just kind of took things and brought them to the next level, and that's really what one of my goals is. As far as the DMV film community, my goal here is to produce films that have a traditional cinematic flavor, but with an infusion of new ideas. I mean, a lot of the films that scholars talk about and a lot of the films that are successful, that have been successful in the industry, have really had that traditional, story arc to them, and have also had great acting, great producing. And I want to continue to do that. We have a lot of great people in this area that I enjoy working with very much, and I just want to keep creating as many opportunities for them as possible.